Yes, hello folks, welcome to Beyond the Page. Sam, of course, Phil Brown, as always, joined by my always regular co-host, Martin Warwick, as we get into some of the topics from the weekend. Of course, disappointing draw against West Brom. The bombshell that Jose Mourinho dropped on Luke Shaw yesterday. We'll talk about that and that ever-changing situation. Martin, how's things, mate?
Yeah, not bad, mate. How about you?
Not too bad, not too bad. Thanks for all of you who joining us right now. And don't forget, you can subscribe to the Beyond the Pitch YouTube page. We'll be doing so much more YouTube stuff as we go through the summer. We'll have lots of interviews on this channel, so we appreciate the subscription. Don't forget, you can follow us on Facebook and all that crap too. A lot of these lovely t-shirts now in the background, hats now. We will get those out now that we can focus on them. And I've been promising these out for some time, but we can't get there. If you got a question for us and you want us to discuss during this segment, drop myself a tweet at Malakines, or you can drop Martin a tweet at
And we'll
work. Look like you just get caught stealing there, Martin. So much to talk about. Luke Shaw, of course. Jose Mourinho dropping a bombshell on Luke Shaw yesterday. Very rarely does a manager come out and be so scathing of a player. We've had question marks. We said back in October, I believe it was, that there was question marks about Luke Shaw's attitude application. This confirms that. We also said on a show but 2 weeks ago there was issues with Luke Shaw talking to a Bournemouth player during that result as well. Mourinho was very, very unhappy about his whole demeanour with that. Luke Shaw has had two managers at Manchester United, both of them European Cup winners, two-time European Cup winners. Both of them have had huge problems with Luke Shaw. It's not his leg, Martin, because this goes back prior to his leg. This is just a problem with Luke Shaw.
Well, I'm hearing too. It goes back even further than the two managers at Man United. It's I think Nigel Atkins at Southampton questioned his fitness and his desire, and also Roy Hodgson and the national team when he was in charge of England questioned his fitness. Van Gaal questioned his fitness. Now Mourinho's questioning his fitness and his attitude towards training sessions. Either the boy doesn't like authority, he doesn't want to learn, or the people he surrounded himself with are questionable at best because, once, maybe twice is some kind of coincidence, but 4 managers now, and this has been going on for many years. And it certainly doesn't look good for him.
So, if you're talking about his attitude issues go back that far, it makes me wonder why United were so willing to go out and spend the £30 million that you're willing to spend. When you're talking about a young lad that has attitude problems, that's very difficult to fix, Martin. You can coach talent, you can improve talent, but if your head's not right, then as we've seen so often in the past with young players that come to United who can't get their head right for a football club that size, it usually only ends up one way. Luke Shaw is in a situation where United are desperate for a left back, and he's at the very bottom of the list.
Well, he's not only at the bottom of the list of left backs, he's now dropped behind wingers, centre backs, holding midfielders. It seems like anybody who can put on a pair of boots at Old Trafford is ahead of him in the pecking order at this point. It's not good. But you know what's going to happen? And you may disagree, but someone will take a chance on him. I coach. I've taken on kids with questionable backgrounds. I've taken on kids that come with a reputation. And you always think that maybe you're the one that can get him to change, and maybe you're the one that can turn him around. But you're right. At this point in his career, how many managers out there now are willing to take a chance on him and think that maybe they can do something that these other top managers, by the way, haven't been able to do?
Well, someone down and take a chance on him. I mean, with Luke Shaw, there's still a potential of an exceptional player in him. So someone down and take a chance on him, and someone's going to look at Luke Shaw and believe they can fix him. But the thing is, Martin, there's a lot of rumours going around about Luke Shaw and his mental application. If you're 21 years of age, you're at the biggest football club in the world. You've just moved for 30 million pounds. You'll have all the support in the world around you. If that environment doesn't bring out the best in you, I don't see how it does at 23, 24, 25. I understand sometimes it comes too early for young kids. But and I'll tell you this right now, going to a Tottenham's not an option anymore because Tottenham level's too high for Luke Shaw. You're talking about going to West Ham. You're talking about going back to Southampton. You're talking somewhere along those lines. If you're a top 6 club, would you trust Luke Shaw? Because, Martin, if you have questionable mental ability and questionable mental focus, that translates to how you play on the pitch too.
It does, but I still think he won't be at Old Trafford in the summer, and I still think he'll be in a top 3 or 4 club. I can still see Chelsea, I can still see Tottenham, I can still see even a Man City taking a punt on him. I really can, because the ability is unquestionable. Now, would I? Absolutely not. Will it work? Highly doubtful at this point. But there'll be people inside that club who will think, we'll get him in, we'll give him a chance. But now what's going to happen now that's going to be interesting, all this talk from Jose, the scathing criticism out in the press, out in public, at his press conferences, what does that do for his transfer value? Not that Jose cares one bit about that, but you're now going to have bought a player for 30 million. You're going to find very, very difficult to get anywhere close to that amount of money back for him. I can see him moving on for 12, 15 million, get shut of him, get shut of the wages, and be done with it. But like you said, he has got every opportunity. He's got everybody around him. He's got all the ex-professionals, all the ex-players at the football club who, Phil and Gary Neville both are pretty outspoken about it right now, that, they'd be pretty embarrassed if that was the assessment of a footballer playing for Manchester United. If that's their assessment of you, how embarrassed you should be. And both have come out recently and said he better do everything in his power to stay at that football club, because there's only one place, whether he goes to a Chelsea, a Tottenham, back to Southampton, doesn't matter. There's only one way when you leave Manchester United, and that's going down.
Well, why wouldn't the problems that exist at United follow him to Chelsea, follow him to Arsenal, follow him to any top club? So to me, if you're a top club, you're going to spend 15, 20 million on him. I mean, what they spend 15, 20 million on today is he'd be worth it. If
that's my point.
But it'd be worth it, Martin, if it was just pure ability, where you're like, okay, this kid's got flaws in his game. Technically, you can improve those at a young age. Mentally, that's a whole different thing, because that's a lot harder to fix. And that you're dealing with something that is much more nuanced and much more complex. Coaches are good at developing kids technically, but if you've got a young kid, Martin, 21, 20, 19, 20 years of age, that's got problems with fitness, kids at that age are naturally fit, right? I mean, you don't even have to work that hard at that age to be match fit. Now, Luke Shaw came back from a World Cup and was not fit to play in United pre-season. What is that kid doing? I mean, there must be serious problems here.
I certainly don't think, and if from what I'm reading is correct, that he lives with that entourage of his now. So that certainly, if that is true, that's not a good choice. Right away, that's not a good choice. Keeping fit, there's no way. I mean, at that age, you just being out on the training pitch every day, you should be able to remain fit. Getting match fit does come a lot harder. We've seen pictures of him after his broken leg when when the rumors surfaced. I mean, with his shirt off, he looked pretty ripped. But being physically fit and then being match fit to play in a Premier League game, night and day. If he's not applying himself, Jose's got every right at this point, after so long, in calling him out in the press. And this really is last chance saloon. Now, we both just read now that somebody said that he's in the squad for tomorrow. I don't know where that news comes from this early. But if that's true, then maybe they've had crisis talks, and maybe that's it. Maybe last chance from Jose was to completely out him in the press and see what the reaction is.
Martin, I know you know a thing or two about being in saloons, but how many last chances is that going to be in, right? Look, here's the thing. We're talking about fitness. It's the most basic requirement of a professional footballer is to be fit. And we need only look at another English international who had problems with fitness to see how this ends up, okay? Wayne Rooney is a guy that needs 4 or 5 games to be fit, right? Because he has problems with focus. Why is it you English lads have such a problem with being disciplined and fit? You've all the talent, all this talent, and yet you can't. The fitness, more, and it's not a complex thing, right? Eat right, make sure some people have different genetics, of course, that make this harder. But are we going to talk about another young English talent, throw away enormous ability? United have a problem with English quotas. He doesn't even have to be that exceptional to make sure he stays this season. Take a look at Marcus Rojo getting games at left back, Martin, and he's atrocious at left back. Daley Blinn's getting games at left back. He's not a left back. Ashley Young's left winger is getting games at left back. That should embarrass Luke Shaw more than anything.
Oh, absolutely. And the fact that he's not, and the fact that he's not willing to change that, to me says all you need to know about the kid. He's not ready. He's not willing. Yesterday, ready? So yesterday, I was on the pitch at 7:30, left at 1:30, and one of my team's 10-year-olds, I ripped into a kid yesterday for lack of effort and pulled him off at halftime, made an example of me. There is one thing you can control, and that's your work rate and your commitment. They go hand in hand. That's the one thing there that is completely out of everybody else's control. That's all they ask, and he's not willing to do that. I mean, for God's sake, the guy eats probably 2 meals a day at the training pitch. So, I mean, what is he doing in the off time if he can't be match fit?
Martin, we've just watched Monaco rip Man City to shreds with teenagers and young players in their early 20s. Mbappe, a teenager, right? He's ready. United are looking at the Monaco left back, Mendy. Mendy's 22, right? What is Luke Shaw, 21, 22? What about the same age? So their French counterparts seem to have no problems adapting. Now, maybe there's not as much pressure playing at Monaco as there is at Manchester United, but I don't think there's an immediate fix in Luke Shaw right now. I think it's going too far. I think when you've got Mourinho is whatever the intended effect is. Luke Shaw is not, his transfer value is not going to drop because Mourinho said this. Like, everybody already knows the problems that exist with Luke Shaw, right? Everybody knows the challenges you're going to have. He's damaged goods, right? But what Mourinho come out and has said, I guarantee, but it's not going to have a reaction, Martin, because Mourinho will have said this in private to Luke Shaw. This will not be news to him. So nobody likes to be criticized in public, and everyone has their own views on whether it's productive or not. Alex Ferguson hated to do it, and he really only did it on very specific circumstances. For Mourinho to do it, who's very, very loyal to his players, it has to be much worse than what we even think it is.
Could well be right. And I tell you, the trust I have in this manager at this point, if this how far it's come with Luke Shaw, I couldn't care less if he moves and goes on, gets himself back into the national team and goes on and to huge things, wins European Cups or whatever elsewhere. Right now, he's not performing for Manchester United, for his manager, for his teammates. I don't think that's going to change. He's better off elsewhere.
Someone just asked me, do I have an alcohol problem? Marcus Joseph, do I have an alcohol problem? So, folks, we did put out at the start of this show, if you have questions regarding anything we talk about, drop us a tweet. We will answer some of your questions before we sign off today. One of the questions we got asked was about David De Gea. Martin, before we get into the West Brom, we look back at West Brom and we take a quick look ahead at Everton. Again, Balogun, of course, has said that Real Madrid have already made an approach for David De Gea, as well as Thibaut Courtois. I think United face a massive challenge trying to keep David De Gea at the football club this season. This summer, Mourinho will be loath to let him go, but United are concerned that he will leave this summer. The two, of course, that they've been heavily focused on, if he goes, would be Donnarumma and Handanovic. But Jose Mourinho will be desperate to keep, for me, that is the best goalkeeper in the world in David De Gea, and I don't understand why it's such a controversial statement. But he is such an important player for Manchester United to keep this summer. But big concerns about whether he's going to stay or not, and of course the two players that they're looking at, as we've already mentioned.
Yeah, but I mean, Jose said it now, hasn't he? I mean, he's gone on record now and said that, you know, if you're not 100% committed to the football club, and you're looking to move elsewhere, then he'll happily let you go. I don't think he's getting rid of not only Deadwood, but he's going to sort that team out to the point where if you are not wanting and desperate to play for Manchester United, then there's the exit door, and it's going to be a huge loss. There's no replacing David De Gea. If a Donnarumma came in, we were going to regress several years to exactly what we got when De Gea came in. Life adjusting to the Premier League for a young goalkeeper is very, very tough. And it's going to take him 2, 3, 4 years to really get to that level. Will he get to that level? I don't know. For me, hands down, the best goalkeeper in the world right now. I don't even think it's a debate.
A question came from Pat Lynch, 78. Thanks for the question, Pat. The other question comes from KC_Nice. If United don't make the Champions League, how much will it hurt United and their spending this summer? Well, look, we already know Bakayoko has put a precondition on Manchester United that they must qualify for the Champions League for him to go there. That, I'm told, was written by the Manchester Evening News, and I understand it's really well sourced. So, yes, it hurts United. It hurts United on so many different levels. Look, Manchester United aren't the only football club in the world, top football club in the world that's going after the best players. Best players in the world have a choice. United got Paul Pogba back because of, first of all, they were the only club willing to pay the money, but secondly, because of his affiliations with the football club. So they're not always going to be that fortunate. And Bakayoko, Manchester United so badly needed defensive midfielder for the balance of the midfield, but also to get the best out of Pogba. So, but Bakayoko is one of the players they're looking at. They're looking at plan Bs and Cs, of course. Mourinho very, very clear in saying, if you don't want to come to Manchester United this summer, we will quickly move on. And I think that was aimed at the games that are being played by the likes of Bakayoko being playing United off Chelsea. So we're not going to do that. Chelsea, of course, Champions League guaranteed next season. United, Martin, that Europa League's becoming more and more important to them.
It is. It's a dangerous game to play in it when you're throwing all your eggs in a cup competition. It's not the easiest route. I mean, yes, we should be. I'll retract that statement. I was going to say we had the best squad left in that competition, but with the amount of injuries and suspensions we've been having, we've been pretty threadbare. So it's going to take some going to get European football via the Europa League. And I know we say it every week, but these week keeps ticking by now, and we're not getting these results in the league to push us up that table. I mean, what's that? The eighth home draw now. We've scored 5 goals. We've scored 5 goals in those 8 home draws. Against the likes of Stoke, Burnley, West Ham, Hull, Bournemouth, West Brom. I mean, come on, it's getting really, really. It's dodgy now. It's dodgy.
Well, look, United have the worst home record since they got relegated, right? Back in the 70s. This is the worst record at home since they were relegated. They're on the same amount of goals as Bournemouth. Mourinho can't put the ball in the net, right?
No.
Where I felt Mourinho, Martin, is if United are drawing games because tactically they're not going out and attacking. That was obvious with Van Gaal. Van Gaal's team weren't attacking. So when Mkhitaryan straight through and puts the ball wide, that's not Mourinho's fault. Mourinho picked the only team on Saturday that he could have picked, right? That was the only team available to him. Everybody, almost every United fan that sat down would have picked that team. So he's not tactically inept, right? So we can rule that out. Some of the stuff that I see about Mourinho and its shortcomings is not tactically inept. For God's sake, will you leave Kevin De Bruyne alone?
Oh gosh!
I mean, maybe I missed it. Maybe Kevin De Bruyne, after Mourinho sold him, started turning water into wine and started splitting the Red Sea and told Noah there was going to be a flood. I mean, he's a good player, but it's not evidence of any shortcoming of Mourinho. Well, the guy's won 2 European Cups, league title in Spain, Portugal, England. But what more evidence do you need that the guy's a top-class football manager?
Well, and here's what's we're just looking at some stats here. Possession. We're 4th in the league in possession. Top of the league in aerial duels won. 2nd in the league in shots per game.
Aerial duels.
2nd in the league in pass accuracy.
RAF.
I mean, there is... all the stats will tell you otherwise. All the stats will tell you that United should be a hell of a lot higher up the league than they should be. But what it does say is the amount of goals we've scored is pretty pathetic, and there are going to be serious money spent in the summertime to make sure that we bring somebody in who can prove he can put the ball in the back of the net.
Want to give a shout out to Lee Graham over in North Belfast, the guy I know quite well, big Everton fan, says keep Luke Shaw well away from Everton. I think he's going to join his mate Morgan Schneiderlin and Big Koeman. Actually, we talked about this before he came on the air, Martin, about Shaw and possibly going to somewhere like Everton. They have some fantastic young players. Lee was saying Galloway is the answer to their problems at left back. Everton might be a good club for someone like Luke Shaw. No disrespect, Everton's a fantastic football club, but there's not the same demands to win yet at Everton as there is at a club like Manchester United.
Yeah, but I don't know. You can say that, but we're not even asking Luke Shaw to win. We're asking Luke Shaw to get fit, for God's sake, and show some passion and show some desire and show some work rate.
Yeah,
you can go wherever you want. Go to MK Dons. If you don't show that, then you're going to be out the door. I think it's gone beyond winning. It's gone beyond.
Yeah,
we need you to get in the squad because we're chasing 4th place. We're chasing 2nd place. We're chasing Europa League Cup. We're not even asking that. We're asking yourself to prove that you should even be in the damn squad. That's what's annoying.
Mourinho improves young players. Paul Pogba is saying for Manchester United because he wanted to work with Mourinho. Mourinho has made a good player of Jesse Lingard, a player that when I first saw I thought was incredibly limited.
I'm a big fan. I think Lingard, and drifting inside, I think he's very underrated at this point. I think he gets a lot of undue stick, to be honest with you.
It seems like to me a lot of United fans are waiting for him to have a bad game, hoping he has a bad game to justify their criticism of him. But Mourinho has made the best out of it, Jesse Lingard. If Luke Shaw can't learn of someone like Mourinho, you have serious problems.
If Luke Shaw had half the desire and commitment of Jesse Lingard, problem solved.
Exactly.
Problem solved.
Same with Anthony Martial, another young player who runs a risk of ruining his career because doesn't have the application. A young player, Martin, who the game at the weekend was tailor-made for. A player who should have been turning around on Saturday and saying, you know what? I'm going to take the responsibility here. I'm going to be the one that makes sure we win this game. And Martial was once again disappointing. And then if he gets dropped, there'll be a number of United fans that are complaining about Mourinho dropping him for Jesse Lingard or for anybody else. Martial has to be the one that shows United that he's good enough to play every week and show the desire that Jose Mourinho is consistently applying across all the squad. I want to get to another question from Man United Trooper. How many people will leave United? Why have so many scouts have been brought by Mourinho? Well, first of all, United scouting is dreadful. When David Moyes came to United, as you can see, he did a lot of scouting himself. When Van Gaal came to Manchester United, Van Gaal was astonished to be told, you're responsible for making the decisions on who comes into the football club. Van Gaal was saying to United, what? At Bayern Munich, I didn't get complete control over transfers. Of course, Bayern Munich's board was made up of football people. He hadn't of course, he was Holland manager, and been a long time since Van Gaal was responsible solely for transfers. This is why when you hear, he's Woodward signing, is total nonsense. That doesn't happen at United. Managers buy players at Manchester United. So Mourinho brought in his own scouting team. Van Gaal, you want to know why? Take a look at Van Gaal's recruitment. It was atrocious, right? Di Maria gone, Falcao gone, Depay gone, Schneiderlin gone, Luke Shaw gonna go, and will stay. But so many of those players gone. So Mourinho doesn't trust United's scouting team. That's why.
Yeah. So how many players do you think we got? I mean, I think we lose 2 or 3. I say lose. I'd say we get rid of 2 or 3
this summer.
Yeah, and I think 4 or 5 come in.
I think Carrick goes. United would have offered him a new deal by now. If United offer Michael Carrick a new deal, it's a bad sign, Martin.
It's because we haven't been able to land our other targets.
Right,
is what you're saying.
Right. If you hear of Michael Carrick in the press getting a new deal, be concerned. I mean, I would give him a new deal, but it's an indication United can't get who they want. Mourinho doesn't look, Carrick is a brilliant reader of the game, but he doesn't have an engine. He doesn't have a Conte engine. That's what United badly need. How many times have you seen United take it apart down the middle? Remember, the first time United got exposed, I was in the derby against Man City at Old Trafford. I think Carrick goes. Luke Shaw, believe it or not, might still get a reprieve at United. I think he'll go, but the one thing that might save him is the fact that United have other needs elsewhere. When Rooney goes, right? Mm-hmm. So if you think about Rooney goes, Depay's already gone, Schneiderlin gone. If De Gea goes, the amount of money United will have available in terms of wages to bring other players in will be astronomical. But I can see 3 or 4 the names that I gave. I think United will keep De Gea, but
I wonder about Ashley Young.
You know, Ashley Young is a guy I'd keep just simply because.
Oh, I'd keep him, no doubt. I mean, I think it all depends on whether it's all going to depend on him, whether he's happy with the amount of time he's getting. Right. And I tell you what, another player, by the way, who never lets you down.
Okay, well, just slightly disagree here, but no, he's not a bad squad player.
That's what I mean. As a squad player, you know, it's a guy who's going to come in and he's going to do everything it takes to you know, every second. I mean, the fact that he's getting time at left back and he doesn't moan about it, he's slid in at right back. I just think that, you know, it's a player who is quote unquote playing for the shirt and playing for the boss. You know what I mean? And you know, I think there's always place for a couple of them in your squad. Now, whether he's happy with that or whether now coming to the back end of his career, he wants to go and get, you know, regular minutes, you know, in his preferred left wing position, then that's another story. I don't exactly think we're breaking the bank. I mean, what is he on, 120, 130 a week, which is about par for the course these days in that position. So, you know,
I mean, for
still a lot of money. Still a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. But
I believe it.
When you
Harry Kane's not getting that more.
When you get Wayne Rooney sat on the bench making 300 grand a week.
I know, but Harry Kane's not getting 130 grand a week. Just bear that in mind.
Top. Also, haven't got the revenue worldwide that Man United have got, and haven't got a 67,000.
No, I know,
stadium, or 76,000 suite stadium.
But this is one of the reasons why they're hard to get rid of. Because why would?
Oh yeah, I mean,
unless you're coming to the end of your contract, why would Ashley Young go anywhere? You know, on 130 G's a week last year to your contract, unless he comes to America. Martin Stephen Rivers says, "What would you do with Rashford and Martial next season?"
Something we just spoke about.
Yeah, I think if you need to get the players they want this summer, Rashford goes out on loan. Body needs a loan too. So do I.
Short term, 6 months with an option to recall at any point. I could see it, but I can only see that, like you said, if we bring in 2 strikers, because if you talk about leaving Wayne Rooney leaving, then that leaves us short up top as well, and we're already pretty thin in quite a few areas right now. I think it would take 2 top class signings to come in for Rashford to go out on a 6-month loan, but I think it's at a stage where he does need regular football. But another one, it's reports there that he regularly stays behind after training, works on his finishing, works on his movement in the box, showing that, you know, he wants to improve and you know, he wants to be there long term.
But he's getting regular football, Martin. That's not the problem for me. I think a problem is he needs to be in an environment that he's not under the same type of pressure that he's under at United. So maybe if he was at somewhere like a Crystal Palace for a year, or a Bournemouth or something like that for a year, or mid-table, he's not going to get slaughtered every week.
Yeah, but if he goes to one of those teams, then he is the main man. He is the number one guy there, and it's all going to rest on his. Oh, absolutely, I think so. Yeah, I don't see Benteke there next year at Palace. So I mean, I think if he goes to a club like that, he's going to be seen as the main man coming in. So the pressure may work against him. But
I think he needs it more, and I think he needs to get out on loan for a season. I think what he's shown this season is he's not quite ready, and
not to lead the line.
I have no concerns like the way I do with Januzaj. Januzaj will never play for Manchester United again.
Well, I think it's a different kind of loan. Sure. It's a different kind of loan. I think this is a loan as not go out and improve yourself kind of loan. This would be a loan deal, whereas we do believe in you. We want you to go out and get some minutes now, get some goals under your belt.
Yeah, so I think if he's sent out on loan to somewhere like a West Brom, a Bournemouth, or somewhere like that, where he gets regular football next season, down the middle, scores goals, develops his game. Yes, you bring him back, but you don't. But I just hope it's not another James Wilson situation where a promising young striker, lightning quick, and that's. I wouldn't even say Rashford's had second season syndrome, Morton. I just think he's been stuck out on the left.
Yeah.
And to me, he still looks a magnificent player, goes past players, but still has to develop his game yet. And as we've seen with Michael Keane, Martin, you want to be really careful with letting young players go too quickly, because United would go out and bring Michael Keane back this summer, and he'd be an improvement on both Chris Smalling and Phil Jones.
We spoke about that. That would be my number one centre back target right now. Would be Michael Keane. Yeah. Huge fan.
I'd send Phil Jones in the Fallujah. Sort of things. About 5 minutes, a wrecking machine, that boy.
Well, they've now decided to hurt each other, them two. Oh, Bill and Ben at the back. Jones and Smalling are injuring each other in practice.
Have you ever seen anyone like Phil Jones in your life? Right? I mean, I've never seen someone that is so that injures himself and injures so many people in training. Right? I don't know. He's almost like a man-steady spy. I've never seen anyone quite like him in my life. So for me, Smalling and Phil Jones actually playing quite well. But again, I would, if a centre half, for whatever reason, pulled out of Victor Lindelof attempt to sign him in January, and I think primarily because bringing in a 19-year-old, 20-year-old into your center of your defense in the middle of a season is a massive risk.
Yeah,
I think the right thing to do, and I said this back in January, was to wait before you address the center of defense. What I will say, Rojo, there's always a bit of madness in Marcus Rojo,
a
right?
bit,
right? but I will say yes, Martin. When he plays at center half, he's I don't have a problem with him. Look, he does some daft things, right? At left back, he's a nightmare. We saw it in the League Cup final, right? Nightmare. He's just a terrible left back. But at centre half, I think he's all right, Martin.
I wouldn't be looking to get rid of Rojo. I'd prefer to keep Rojo over both Smalling and Jones, to be honest with you.
So would I. And Chris Smalling, there's
a mistake in him, isn't there?
You can't coach intelligence. You either have it or you don't. And Chris Smalling doesn't have a brain. Right? I don't know how many times I've seen Chris Smalling concede goals just from lacking the basic awareness of a central defender and not sensing danger. And we see it all the time. And so for me, Smalling, I would get rid of. Phil Jones is already out of the developmental stage of his career now. And unfortunately, he spent too long of it injured. I would let him go. So Michael Keane, from what I'm told, I might not be correct on this, but I think he's only got a year left on his contract after this one, Martin.
Yeah, correct.
Go out and get him, right? You could get him off Burnley for 20 million, right? 20 million is a brilliant piece of business. He's a young English centre half. He's from Manchester. He knows the city. There's no integration. Perfect signing. And Bailly is a monster. When you talk about one of the best signings this summer, Eric Bailly is sensational, Martin. He is so strong, so good on the ball, excellent defender, just a brilliant player. He's crying out for a partner, and I would say Michael Keane. Folks, before we go, let's take a quick look at Everton. And as I said, shout out there earlier to my good friend Lee Graham. He'll be looking at this match tomorrow. Everton, a much improved Everton. Martin, we said on our Danny Higginbotham show, or Everton, somewhat of a Tottenham, in that they've got very good young players. Koeman's not afraid to promote youth. They've just given young Davies a new contract. Going to find it hard to hold on to Lukaku this summer. And every week I change my mind on Lukaku. One week I'm like, he's the answer to United's prayers. He's a fantastic striker. And then the next week I'm like, I'm not too sure. He wasn't great against Liverpool the weekend.
Who was?
Ross Barkley should have been sent off.
Everton was shocking. Everton were poor.
They were poor.
But that's what you get from a young side. That's what you're going to get. You're going to get that indifference. You're going to get that. it's going to be up and down, and you've got to keep. Koeman will keep faith with those youngsters. He had 3 or 4 real young kids in there, didn't he? But you're going to look back. I mean, Lukaku still, you can't judge him on 1 or 2 games. You're going to end up judging on the end of the season. You're going to look up and he's got 25, 30 goals. Would he fit our system? I mean, it would be a slight change, but he's not. I highly doubt he's going to be at Everton next year, and I would see him back at a top club, I would imagine.
Would you spend 70 million on Lukaku? Is he? When you look at Ibrahimovic,
well, here's the problem, right? You look at the goal scoring charts. Can you get Harry Kane? No, not right now.
No, because Spurs are going to lose either Danny Rose or Kyle Walker. So
yeah,
they're not going to let Harry Kane.
So take Harry Kane off there. I mean, unless you come in with an absolutely stupid bid, world record plus some, Harry Kane's not going anywhere. If you look down the goal scoring charts, who is that? I mean, what are you looking for? Are you looking to bring in world talent that's then unproven?
It has
in
to
the
be
Premier
world
League?
talent, Martin.
But my point is, you can bring in. You can bring in Neymar. You can bring in Griezmann. To me, it's still a fact of proven Premier League goal scorers are going to be a safer option. I'm trying to choose my words carefully because I don't want to get misconstrued. Premier League goals are the hardest thing in the world to score. All right. Scoring goals in football is the hardest job in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Lukaku has now continuously scored at the top level in the Premier League and continues to do so. Would I pay 70 million? It's not my money. We spent big money on worse players. So would I? Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not a good enough reason because we spent money on worse players or anything like that.
I'll change my reason then to the amount of goals he scored in the Premier League. That's worth 70 million. That's worth 70 million. Is he the answer? I'm with you. I kind of flip flop. I see days and I'm like, oh, he's shocking, and then the days when I'm like, look how many goals he scored. And that's not by accident. So you can't hide the facts on the amount of goals he scored, and primarily in teams that don't create a lot of chances, which shows his conversion rate must be pretty high.
Okay,
can you imagine the amount of chances he gets at Old Trafford right now?
I know this is a United team that creates. This is why I don't understand the comparisons between last season. I'm convinced some people watch United on teletext.
Yeah, or just don't even watch. Maybe they just look at the score at the end.
And there's people arguing with me. It's amazing. People are so polemic. They can't accept. They have to take an argument to the extreme. Look, if you don't think that the way United play matters, just check the score after 90 minutes. Don't bother watching, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that means that I don't care about the result. Of course I care about the result, but Manchester United must play a certain way, I think. I think that you can compromise for short periods. Okay, this week we're playing away against a class team. Let's shut up shop. That's fine. But over the course of 38 games, United have to play a certain way. That's the responsibility of playing for Manchester United. And so the way they play matters. So if you compare this United team to last year, I don't care about the similarities on paper. It means nothing, right? What matters is this United team attack, right? That there's enough there for me to be optimistic about, look, what Mourinho's trying to do and understand how big a job he had at United, and not just getting them right on the pitch, but off the pitch, and the dead wood he had to clear out. He's halfway through fixing that United team. So anybody that thinks,
I'd say judge him after next season.
But even if you judge him now, Martin, I mean, he's won the League Cup, right? He's got the longest unbeaten run in Europe right now. Now, I know it's a lot of draws, right? And that's fine. But anybody that's turning around and questioning him, Van Gaal spent 150 million or close to it in his first season, right?
Who's still there?
Yeah, I know. So the numbers are irrelevant. And you know, so look, the job that he has at United is so big and so difficult. He's barely halfway through it. He's already addressed the Rooney situation fantastically well. He's got United back playing attacking football, so United are back interested in to watch again. People forget United fans were cheering corners last season, right? And singing songs about how crap United were. United team under Van Gaal Martin absolutely sapped the life out of me watching them.
Well, how many times have you heard the fans this season, singing "Attack, Attack, Attack"? Very rarely, because we spent most of our time. That's been a staple on the terraces for 3 years now, and it's bored the life out of me. I'll be honest with you.
He demands that United attack, and he's holding players accountable for not doing that. Martin, right? Martial's getting held accountable. Depay's no longer at the football club because he wasn't consistent enough, wasn't adding enough. He's had so much to address internally, and he had to give players a chance, right? So he's given Rooney the chance. Rooney's gone. That was a big problem. United have had to address that for years. People almost forget that he's at the football club now, right? So he's halfway through a massive job. This summer, I'm confident, not based on any information, just because I think United want him so bad. United will sign Griezmann. I'm confident they'll bring in 3 or 4 others. They really like Bellotti at Roma. They've watched him quite a bit. I'm convinced they'll send a left back, a holding midfielder, and possibly a winger with the intention of loaning out Marcus Rashford. Now, I know some fans got upset over Perisic, but I think Mourinho wants some experience, Martin.
And it would make sense. It certainly would make sense. I don't know whether that'll be defensively or up top. I mean, look, we brought in Zlatan. He's delivered with goals. We need some old heads in there for sure. There'll be several coming in. We know that several big money moves. So I'm excited for the summer. I'm excited for it to get done. I'm excited for the new recruits to come in and get a good preseason under the belt over here.
Yes,
on the West Coast.
We did speak to Vidic last week, a week or two, and he said that I expected that United would get a lot of these deals done before. If you haven't checked out that interview, it's on. Go ahead and you'll find it on our webpage, beyondthepitch.net. Folks, follow us on Facebook, on all that stuff. Thanks very much for checking us out. Thanks very much for watching. We appreciate all the subscriptions, and if you subscribe to our YouTube page, much appreciated. Thanks very much for all the tweets and all the questions. We will be doing our Danny Higginbotham show tomorrow, which will go out on the NBC Sports Network podcast Wednesday, I believe. So our United show we'll also do after the Everton game. So lots more to come. Thanks very much for tuning in, folks. Martin, all the best, mate.
All the best, mate. Talk to you soon.
See you. Bye.
Bye.